My lazy brother secretly redirected my digital bookstore royalties to fund his luxury sports bike behind my back. There is a harsh, cold awakening that happens when you realize the person raiding your life isn't a faceless hacker, but the lazy golden child brother sleeping in the very next room. For 3 years, I worked 16-hour days, sacrificing my social life and sleep to build a successful independent digital bookstore. My fantasy and thriller romance novels finally hit the platform's trending algorithms, generating a massive, life-changing stream of monthly royalties. Because our parents always babied my brother Leo, protecting him from ever getting a real job, I quietly absorbed our household bills to keep the peace. I trusted him blindly in our shared space. But this morning, when my projected mid-month royalty payment notification flashed an alternate verification message, I logged into my author administrative portal. My heart completely stopped. My primary routing codes and digital wallet keys had been systematically replaced. For the past 4 months, over $15,000 of my hard-earned intellectual property revenue had been secretly redirected into a private account, all to fund the lease and maintenance of a custom, high-end luxury sports bike Leo had been flaunting as a gift from an online investor. He thought my silence was weakness, completely forgetting that a woman who codes her own metadata knows exactly how to trace a digital thief. My name is Chloe, and at 28 years old, my life is anchored by discipline, narrative structure, and deep analytical focus. I work as an independent digital author and publisher, managing a highly successful online bookstore that houses over 40 of my own self-published fiction novels. Building a digital publishing brand from scratch while targeting a highly competitive global market requires an unyielding work ethic. I spent years learning search engine optimization, running targeted data campaigns, and writing up to 5,000 words a day to trigger the major platforms' visibility algorithms. By early 2026, my dedication finally paid off. My royalties transitioned from minor supplementary income into a substantial, high-yield digital asset stream. While my professional life was a masterclass in structure, my domestic life was completely chaotic due to deep-seated family favoritism. I lived in a spacious family home with my parents and my 24-year-old brother, Leo. Leo was the definition of an enabled, lazy golden child. He had dropped out of 2 different universities, refused to maintain any steady employment, and spent his days sleeping until noon or playing high-end video games in his room. My parents completely enabled his dependency. "Chloe, you are making incredible money from your internet books now," my mother would constantly say, waving her hand dismissively whenever I brought up Leo's lack of contribution. Leo is still finding himself. He has a creative soul. As his older sister, it is your duty to support the household while he figures out his path. To maintain domestic peace and shield myself from their endless emotional guilt trips, I quietly took over the entirety of the household utility contracts, funded our monthly groceries, and kept my head down, focusing entirely on my expanding digital empire. I assumed that as long as I paid the bills, Leo's laziness wouldn't directly impact my future. I was completely wrong. The first subtle anomaly in my publishing system didn't appear as a drop in sales volume. It manifested as a processing delay in my monthly financial dashboard. In April 2026, my administrative portal indicated that my primary international wire transfer was fully executed, yet my bank balance remained completely unchanged for 7 consecutive days. When I logged in to check the transaction logs, the platform displayed a generic status message: account profile updated via shared session ID. Assuming it was a routine security update or a platform-wide banking glitch, I bypassed the alert, re-verified my credentials from my primary laptop, and focused on launching my new summer romance series. Around that same time, Leo's lifestyle underwent a sudden, radical transformation. He stopped asking my parents for basic spending money, and suddenly began wearing designer streetwear. The climax of his new wealth occurred on the morning of May 12th, when a massive transport flatbed arrived outside our family gate, unloading a pristine, limited edition matte black luxury sports bike worth thousands of dollars. My parents were completely ecstatic, rushing out to take photos. "Look at your brother, Chloe!" My father beamed with pride. He didn't need a corporate routine like you. He met a high-tier overseas digital investor online who is funding his lifestyle as a brand ambassador. When I asked Leo about the specific logistics of this investment, he leaned against the glossy fuel tank, offering a smug, arrogant grin. "You think you're the only one who can extract wealth from the internet, Chloe? Some of us just operate at a higher level without burning our fingers typing all day. Don't worry about my assets." His absolute arrogance was irritating, but I dismissed it, assuming he had somehow entangled himself in a high-risk crypto scheme. I returned to my study, entirely unaware that the high-tier asset parked in our garage was being paid for bite by bite, chapter by chapter. by my own sleepless nights. The breaking point occurred this afternoon, June 10th, 2026. I sat down at my workstation to review my mid-month royalty distribution dashboard from the global Bookstore platform. The sales charts showed a massive upward spike due to a viral social media trend featuring one of my dark fantasy trilogies. I should have been looking at a massive financial payout. Instead, the net payout balance read exactly 0. My internal compliance training instantly kicked into overdrive. I bypassed the standard user interface and accessed the master administrative audit logs of my publisher profile. My eyes locked onto a series of unyielding digital footprints. On February 14th, March 18th, April 22, and May 29th, someone had systematically accessed my account using a secondary device token. I checked the hardware MAC address and the dynamic IP location logs attached to those specific administrative logins. The data was indisputable. The access requests hadn't originated from an overseas hacking syndicate. They had been executed from a high-end gaming laptop, utilizing our home Wi-Fi network. The exact custom hardware configuration belonging to Leo. Leo had utilized a hidden keylogger, or simply bypassed my screen lock while I was downstairs preparing meals. He had quietly entered my master profile, accessed the payout settings, and substituted my primary corporate banking routing codes with a private, newly established digital wallet account under his own name. Over the course of 4 months, Leo had systematically drained exactly $15,800 directly from my intellectual property royalties. He hadn't secured an online investor. He had forged my administrative verification tokens to treat my bookstore as his personal corporate sponsor, using my life's work to finance the lease, premium insurance, and custom modifications of his luxury sports bike. I sat in the cold silence of my study, looking at the digital audit logs displaying my brother's full name attached to my stolen revenue. The raw emotional betrayal felt like a physical weight in my chest, but I refused to diminish my power by reacting with a chaotic, loud confrontation. A screaming match would only allow my parents to intervene, make excuses for him, and try to sweep the theft under the rug. I spent the next 3 hours gathering absolute compliance-grade documentation. I printed the historical royalty routing logs, the hardware MAC address verification showing his laptop signature, the dynamic IP mapping, and the official confirmation from the digital bookstore platform detailing the unauthorized bank account swap. At 5:00 p.m., I walked downstairs into the main living area. Leo was sitting on the plush sofa, lazily scrolling through his phone, while my parents were watching television. I walked directly to the center of the room, placed my laptop on the coffee table, and flipped the screen toward them, displaying the unyielding digital audit trail. "Leo," I said, my voice cutting through the ambient room noise with freezing precision. "The overseas investor funding your luxury sports bike is actually my author profile dashboard. You have precisely 24 hours to legally transfer the title of that motorcycle to my name, or the merchant fraud division receives this file." Leo's lazy posture instantly vanished. He choked on his drink, his face turning an immediate ash gray as his eyes darted toward our parents for protection. "Chloe, what are you talking about?" my father stammered, standing up defensively. "Leo was doing digital brand work. You can't just come down here and accuse your brother of cyber theft because you're jealous of his new lifestyle." "Look at the routing codes, Dad," I said, tapping the glowing screen. "Every single premium lease payment on that matte black sports bike matches the exact dollar amount missing from my publishing account. He didn't build a brand. He bypassed my terminal security, copied my security access tokens, and redirected $15,000 of my hard-earned intellectual property revenue directly into his personal digital wallet." The living room became suffocatingly quiet as the undeniable data settled over the space. My mother, realizing the absolute reality of the situation, immediately attempted to deploy her standard emotional manipulation to shield her golden child. "Chloe, honey, please calm down," she pleaded, reaching out to close my laptop screen. "Leo made a terrible impulsive mistake. He's young, and the pressure of seeing you succeed online must have clouded his judgment. If you report this to the platform or the authorities, you will ruin his entire future. He could face actual felony charges. We are a family. You are making incredible money anyway. Let's just treat this as an early family loan for his transportation." Leo nodded frantically, hiding behind my mother's shoulder. "Yeah, Chloe, I was totally going to pay you back once my own online channels started generating revenue next quarter. I just needed a high-end asset to build an audience first. Don't be so dramatic and cold about a family misunderstanding." I looked at them, a cold wave of clarity washing over me. In their distorted family structure, Leo's deliberate, multi-month corporate fraud was just an impulsive mistake or a family loan, while my systematic defense of my own intellectual property was labeled dramatic and cold. "This is not an internal family misunderstanding," I stated, my voice completely level and resolute. It is a deliberate, targeted digital asset theft. I sacrifice my health, my sleep, and my social life to write those books and build that bookstore brand. I will not fund a thief's luxury vanity projects just because you refuse to hold him accountable. I packed my laptop back into my bag. The 24-hour timeline is active. If the vehicle title transfer documentation isn't signed and delivered to my legal representative by 5 p.m. tomorrow, the fraud file is submitted, and the platform's asset reclamation team will handle the recovery directly. It has been 2 weeks since the digital audit logs exposed the hidden reality of my household, and the system has fully reset into a place of absolute independence and pristine success. Leo signed the vehicle title transfer paperwork at 4:30 p.m. the following afternoon, too terrified of facing public exposure, platform bans, and actual corporate fraud liabilities to risk fighting the unyielding data file. Yesterday morning, I officially sold the luxury sports bike to a certified regional broker, recovering every single dollar of the $15,000 he had diverted from my bookstore royalties. The domestic fallout was severe, but it ultimately provided the exact catalyst I needed for complete liberation. My parents refused to speak to me for exposing their golden child's criminal behavior, so I packed my entire workstation, finalized a lease on a modern high-rise apartment downtown, and severed my financial ties to their household permanently. Sitting at my new desk this evening, looking out at the city skyline while my digital bookstore dashboard updates with completely secured, single-user biometric encryption tokens, I feel a profound sense of genuine victory. Enabled family members always operate under the assumption that your love, your politeness, or your fear of family drama will keep you silent while they exploit your hard-earned success. But they completely miscalculate the power of an independent creator who knows her own worth. My publishing brand is fully secure. My personal space is completely peaceful, and the story of my future is being written beautifully, successfully and exclusively on my own terms.